In this video, we will be covering the October 2024 garden tour. Some things are winding down, some things are winding up. Everything is just kind of crazy this month in our Destin, Florida gardens. And I'm going to take you along to see the details on how everything is going. This is the outer garden bed tour. This is part 2 of 3. First part is going to be the front and side garden. The second part is these outer. The third part is going to be the raised beds, which you can actually see in the lower left-hand corner here. And so here we go. Hi, I'm Bowtie Dave. Hello and welcome to Bowtie Life. I'm Bowtie David, the Bowtie handyman in the Bowtie gardens. I know, Bowtie too many times. And anyway, I do these incremental garden tours every single month like we've been doing for over 2.5 years now. We are on our first of the last 6 months. Come April, we'll be starting year 4. And very excited about that. We've been doing these every single month in the same exact order. The front and side gardens, the outer gardens, the raised garden beds. And it shows me, it's really my own personal journal of everything going on in the garden. I use these videos frequently to remind myself what happened, what I've grown, and so I try to cover all the details I can. I do everything in the same order so I can find things quickly and easily. So you, of course, are so welcome to follow along. We actually take people on tours of our gardens frequently in real life, and this is the way to do it in virtual life. So be sure to subscribe so you don't miss a thing. We do have coming up here, we're going to call it the Luffa Expanse. And if you've been watching any of our videos over the past several months, you'll know that we've been growing this Luffa. I don't know how to describe it. You'll just have to wait and see it when we get around to that end of the garden tour. But about the middle of the garden tour. It is amazing. I've never grown Luffa before. I wanted to see what it does, and boy, do we know. It is mind-blowing. It is truly mind-blowing. And it is actually included in this part and the third part. It's in the raised beds as well. It is grown everywhere. It's 80 feet from end to end. Let's be sure to watch through and see that. Normally I like to cover weather right here, but I actually covered weather pretty exhaustively in the first part of this, which at the closing screen, if you're on a device that you can see the closing links in the top right corner of the video, you'll see a link to that first part. And the bottom right corner is supposed to be a link to the third part. Bottom left corner is supposed to be a link to the whole playlist of all our garden tours for 2024. Anyway, the weather right now is kind of partly sunny. The sun is shining through our normal Florida wispy clouds, and it kind of feels nice out here. So it's a good day to be here. Be sure to subscribe, like I mentioned, so you don't miss a thing. The Luffa is amazing. We got bees. We got just tons and tons of stuff going on in the garden that I'm going to share with you. Right here behind me, we have the blackberries. We'll talk about everything throughout, the garden. So, all that being said, we are on a urban lot, middle of the neighborhood, with 100 feet wide and 106 foot deep property, right at a 1/4 acre. And you can see on this map, this is how big we are. I've tried to convert a lot of this to garden beds. Some of it has gone back from garden beds. We're developing new garden beds. We're doing different things. We're going to have some changes in the outer garden beds. So keep watching for some of the changes that we're going to do next year. We're doing a lot of planning for the success of next year. And so anyway, yeah, you don't need a ton of property to grow your own food. In fact, we started off in a 14-foot patio. We had 28 tomato plants, a whole bunch of hot pepper plants, cucumbers, squash, just tons and tons of stuff that we grew on our own little 14-foot patio. And you can do it as well. You don't even need the patio, though the patio works. Interestingly enough, our patio wasn't even south facing, it was north facing. So we didn't have a lot of sun on it. We still grew food. So I want to encourage everyone to learn how to grow just something. It is a very useful bit of knowledge to have, and for me, it just gives me a lot of peace of mind to know if and when something happens, I'm good. I can grow my own food. I can get things done. And that's part of that self-sufficiency that I love. We had a series of, or we actually have right now a series of videos coming out about collecting your own seeds. And one of my favorite things on that is the self-sufficiency. Also, when you collect seeds and stuff, you can give to others. That's another great thing. It gives you the peace of mind that you're paying it forward, that you're helping others to do the same. For those of you who have subscribed, I want to thank you personally. You are my heroes, and you have really helped make Bowtie life what it is today. As we're going through here, if you have questions, if you want to share your experiences, I love hearing from y'all. I watch a lot of YouTube channels and videos. I really enjoy watching other people's experiences and maybe learn. I have learned so much from the comments. I can't tell you. I've learned so much. And then questions, if you have questions, please feel free to ask. Occasionally I can even answer with a video. So that's always so welcome to use those comments down below. And please don't hesitate to do that. Okay, with all that being said, we're going to start right here with the blackberries. And we have been working on our blackberries a little bit here and more in the raised bed. So again, subscribe. Don't miss the raised bed. We're going to talk more about the blackberries, pomegranates, everything else. At this point, the blackberries is more just a continuous type thing. As things grow, I start weaving them through like this right here. You see that little vine right there? I just pull it through, keep it growing, weaving it into the makeup of the arch trellis here. Like this one right here, I will just set it right there to continue. It's not quite long enough to grow there. There we go. And I can loop that. This is all I'm really doing to the blackberries. It's just encouraging them to grow. You can see like this one right here. It continues all the way through, goes down there, and somewhere from the ground down there, it grows. There's another one right here I've seen has gotten away from me a little bit. I didn't see this one before. And I will actually I like to encourage them to go this way so they're not getting so much into the pomegranate trees. However, we will be pruning the pomegranates a little bit to get them a bit more in control. We have not had them in good control since we've lived here yet. I'm still learning them, but we're going to be pulling off a lot of these suckers next month. We still have a tomato growing just randomly in here. Interestingly enough, this tomato right here grows all the way up through into the pomegranate, and I really don't know how far it goes up, but I do see, oh my goodness, I do see, let me see if I can zoom in on that. Look at there, there's tomatoes growing. How awesome is that inside the pomegranate tree? I think those are going to be everglades tomatoes, but we'll have to see what those develop to. I'm going to watch those for turning red here. I don't know, I may miss those. We'll have to see. They're kind of stuck up in there, but yeah, one everglades tomato, probably carried over here by a bird and planted down behind that post there. We do have a goji berry bush back here we're going to have to figure out what to do with. The pomegranates themselves are looking great. I did finally trim them back. We had to redo our homeowner's insurance, and before we went through any of that, I made sure, and I think we covered this in the last, but I made sure that everything was cut back from on top of the roof. Some pomegranates were actually close to the roof, and I didn't want to deal with that. And the insurance problems. We still have pomegranates on here, and at this point, we're just simply leaving these for the birds, the squirrels, whoever likes it. In fact, I can show you this right there. Let me see if I can zoom in on that. You can see it's been eaten into. This is what happens to them. The birds and squirrels love them. They give water, they give nutrients, they give whatever they need to nature around us. And so the pomegranate tree is looking really good, really vibrant. I will be doing some more trimming on these in the near future. You can see down here on the bottom right, there's another pomegranate just hanging there, waiting to be eaten. I saw the blueberry patch in the very end of the first, which we ended right there. But this is a massive blueberry patch. I think there's over a dozen plants in here. And I just wanted to give you a close-up of what this looks like. See, there is new growth coming out all over in here. Look at this green, beautiful green branch. All this new growth is going to be blueberries developing for next year. We will come in here this winter and like branches that look like this right here, all woody. We'll be cutting out a lot of things like that in a couple months to clean this up. We have not done a great job, but it really doesn't take a lot. I do know we have a like a pepper tree. I call it a pepper tree, whatever this glossy leaf tree is there, and then there's another one growing, and that one right there that we'll have to deal with when the time comes. Past the blueberries, we have the magnolia, which always looks exactly the same. Sometimes it has flowers here in Florida, sometimes it doesn't. And then we head into the cathedraloupe. And of course you can see the bee box. We'll take a closer look at the bee box over there. The cathedraloupe, we tried to grow cantaloupe here this past year. It met with dismal success, and because of the temperatures this summer, they weren't hot, they were long. Because of the temperatures, I might try this again next year. We'll have to see if we do the cantaloupe here or over in another location. Still deciding on that, but we did have a couple of fruits develop. Nothing developed to ripeness, nothing to eat. So the reason why we call it the cathedraloupe is because it is the shape of one of the European cathedrals, and it just happens to be pointing west and east, which is the way all those churches were built. We're standing over here by the bee box, and it is really active. It's been a very strong hive. Very pleased with it. I try to keep as many flowers on the property as I can. They are flying all around me right now. I'm probably about 12 feet away, but I do leave a lot of these Biden's alba. We did pull out tons and tons of these Biden's alba, but I do leave them specifically in this area because this is where they feed. I still have not been able to get in here and fix this bee bath, which is a bird bath with just pebbles in it so the bees can use it. There's a comfrey down there that's looking extremely strong. There's also a comfrey right up in here that's looking extremely strong, and we have another one over back on the other end. We'll show from the opposite end of that direction in just a few minutes. But we have elephant ears coming up everywhere, and yeah, everything's looking strong. This is October, folks, and wow, it's looking super duper green. Right here we have two fig trees. Our one fig tree here and another one back there, the tall one, which is going to get topped off this year for the first time. This one here is beautiful. It's got a lot of leaves. Interestingly enough, it doesn't have a lot of fig rust, which we saw on the fig tree up in the front yard. It does have some, but nowhere near as much as was on the other tree. And I think it's very interesting when it gets this fig rust. This is the natural progression through the year for these leaves. And when it gets to a certain point, these leaves just fall off. That one's not quite ready. That one's not quite. Oh, look at that yellow one back there. Let me see if I can reach that yellow one. Oh, see, that just popped off. That's what happens, folks. The wind blows, these things just fall off and fall to the ground. And that's the natural progression for these. They will lose their leaves in the winter, even here in Destin, Florida. This other tree here is a little bit more worse for wear because there is so much fig rust. There is some figs still developing. In fact, I can zoom in on that one right there, and you can see there's 3 figs right there, folks, but they are not going to develop. That one in the bottom looks like it could be close. We'll have to watch that. But this is not the right time of year to be growing figs. It does try to get a fake second harvest, but it never makes it. And sometimes I go in here and I just test these branches. You don't have to do that. It's just my little obsessive compulsive behaviors that are totally unimportant. And this thing will take care of itself. It's a beautiful fig tree. Both these trees are looking wonderful. They will be getting trimmed this year and taken care of. So hopefully next year we'll be getting some figs off of these trees. That will be the first time to have figs off of these trees. Now I'm going to go just to the other side. The bee box, you can barely see it, just right over there, right there. There it is. I'm going to go over here to the other side of this fig tree and look at a couple of plants that we have. And this is more like a meadow area back here. It's not very wide. It's only about 6-8 feet wide. But I've let this thing grow a little wilder because the bees are over there. So from here you can see the bee box. It does get the morning sun on the face of it. They don't come back this way very often. They're more interested in flying out that direction, which is the direction of most stuff that they will want to collect pollen from, or nectar, or whatever else they're going to collect. But so that all is Biden's alba back there, and they love those. They just crawl all over them. Maybe I can find you a video of the bees flying all over the Biden's alba at their peak flower. I do go in and try to pull as much of that Biden's alba as I can because it is so prolific. And there's the elephant ear and comfrey we just looked at from the other side over there. There's more elephant ear back here and around our property, so we're not any shortage of them. I did want to show this comfrey here. I actually came in here and dug out massive parts of this to give to a friend, and it has already almost completely come back. So new leaves coming out, replacing what I took in no time. That's been, I don't know, less than probably 3 weeks ago. And this comfrey is amazing. Comfrey is a high nutrient plant. It not only is it good for skin care, wound care. You can make salves out of this, but it's also got very deep roots, so it draws up ancient nutrients from deep in the ground. However, we have a water table just not very far down right here, so I don't know how deep it goes. It won't go the 100 feet that it goes elsewhere, but it does draw up nutrients, and you cut those leaves off, you just chop them off at the ground, leave them, and they will return nutrients to the ground. They are a very wonderful plant to have, and they spread like crazy. So you got to keep a little bit of an eye on them and make sure they don't get out of control. If I go over to the left here just a little bit between the fig trees, and I'm going to keep an eye on the bees, we have that one amaranth that's sitting over there, and I'm not touching it. I'm letting it do its thing. It is just growing there, and I'm hoping that it develops. I may have to find another amaranth. That was a gift from a friend. Thank you for that, and we'll see if it survives. I'm not too hopeful at this point. Something knocked it over pretty early on, either wind or an animal or something. The Luffa Hedge, and this is our new hedge this year. We just planted these Luffa trees here in the in a row. There's 5 Luffa trees that I want to grow as a hedge. They are about 4 feet apart. I want to train the branches to grow thick through here, and they're actually doing very well. I love how these branches are forking off everywhere. You can see down there where they're forking off and starting to fill in quite nicely. We will be trimming this off. This tallest one here is probably right about 7 feet. We will be trimming these off about eye level, which is going to be right about there, and let them grow new growth next year. I don't know if we're going to get loquats off them this next spring or summer. We'll have to see, but I'm very curious to see what happens with these. These 2 are a little bit ahead. As we go down, the next 3 are not so far ahead. In fact, you can see those are not quite as tall. They will not get trimmed this year, and they will do more growing next year. But I'm very excited to see how the Loquat Hedge is growing and developing into something nice. So there is one spare loquat down the end right there that is still in a pot in case one of these dies, which they don't seem like they're going to. Coming around the loquats, we do have a couple of lemon trees that were survivors from the freeze of the Christmas of 2022. Coming up on 2 years ago. Those, we completely lost everything on those Meyer lemon trees, and it was devastating, but these things want to come back. So I need to get more information on how to get those things looking good and strong over the next few years. I have a friend that can help me figure that out. Just have to get him over here. So we are starting into the Luffa Expanse, and this is the next thing that we're going to be covering right after the watermelon. I will show you the watermelon The watermelon are failing. They have come down to the end of the year. They have given me just a lot of watermelon, and I am very pleased. There's another huge comfrey plant right there that I love, but my neighbor over here has grown for the second year these birdhouse gourds, and he has a lot of them growing right here in this section, but it's growing despite folks, the Luffa Expanse. So I've climbed atop the neighbor's jungle gym, monkey bars, and I wanted to try to find a better view of this Luffa Expanse. And down here at the far left, it is within 16 feet of the fence on that side, and you can see it has climbed over the shade cloth. It has climbed into his yard. Now, my neighbor has some birdhouse gourd plants growing in here, but all this at the bottom, most of this, it's not birdhouse gourd, it's Luffa. And we've just been watching this thing. In fact, you can see one yellow flower up in there. The bees just absolutely love these yellow flowers. You can see it's climbed atop the 17-foot tree trunk right there. All those yellow flowers are Luffa, and it's come within about 8 feet of the far right end. Actually less than 8 feet. It's right about there, probably about 6 feet. So close to 80 feet from end to end. And from down here at the bottom to the far side of the beans, probably another 60 or 70 feet. That's 5 Luffa vines, people. This is just amazing to see. So sitting on top of that is where I took that video from. But if I pan to the left here, just the number of Luffa here. Now, Bree Ellis is growing a Luffa gourd arch trellis about 20 feet long, and I love it. I just so smile like she does every time I look at it. And just looking at the dozens and dozens, I know that we don't have dozens. We have well over 100. In fact, there's so many hidden in here, I can't even begin to count them. We have 5 vines going through here, and these 5 vines are producing over here in over the raised beds, which we'll look more at that point. They're just hanging literally in the middle of the aisle. Now, I haven't done any trimming on these at all, folks. I just let them go. I wanted this year to see what they would do, because I've been hearing stories, and I just wanted to see. Look at all the ones growing right through here. There's over a dozen right there in that little section. These vines are actually very strong. They will hold on to these. They're growing up here in the shade cloth, and there's 2 right there next to each other, just everywhere, folks. Now, this is the arch trellis where they started from, and if I go inside here, you get the idea about the room that they have made in here, and it feels like a room. It's actually several degrees cooler in there than the day outside generally, but I mean, there's one here, just right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Ooh, there's one ready to harvest. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 on 8 feet, and I didn't even turn my head around. Oh, 21, 22, 23, 20. Yeah, there's a lot here. Now, this is what they look like when they're ready to pull off. Now, this one isn't quite all the way dry, but I will warn you. There we go. These stems are extremely strong, but you see how it's turned all brown? Now, right about here, this is fully developed down in this section down here. Up here, it's not quite fully developed. It's not going to have a lot of good seeds up here. The one that we, in fact, I can't remember. I think the video is coming up where we harvested some of these seeds. You will see that it looks kind of like this. It's a little bit bigger. I got a lot of good seeds out of it, but up in this section here, there's a lot of shriveled seeds that are obviously not going to develop into anything. So got to watch that. Something like this is fully developed. Something like this right here is mostly developed. That big one back there in the aisle, the monster, it is fully developed, it's going to be full of seeds. That big one right down there, that's just, I cannot get over how big it has grown. There's another one right here that has grown about the same configuration. This thing is going to be full of seeds. I mean positively full of seeds. That's probably just under 2 feet long. It is pretty heavy. They're hidden down inside here. I can see some. I also know there's some hidden that you can't even see. Interestingly enough about this loofah vine, when they're small, like this right here, see, this is a little bit larger than my thumb. These are actually phenomenal substitutes for zucchini. And Mrs. Bowtie took us through cooking up some of those, slicing and cooking up some of those in the skillet, but you can do them in the oven. You can grate them. I also did a video for grating them and making a loofah bread, which is like zucchini bread. It's the exact same recipe and very delicious. This one is a young one here. It needs to get just a little, but you can pick it that small and eat it. But perfect replacement for zucchini, folks. This one here, you start getting seeds developed in there, and the seeds are they're a little woody when they start developing. There's just, you can't even see all of them. Look at this little line right here. Five of them right there in a row. I mean, that's just amazing right there. A couple of them right there. One of them is going to need to be picked here in a day. But yeah, this is the Luffa Expanse, and I hadn't shown you. Well, yeah, you saw it in the video from the top of the monkey bars. And I've got a few other videos where you can see all the loofah developing underneath there. There's probably 50 on this 17-foot tree alone. It is covered. I love the yellow flowers. They're beautiful. The bees love them, which is why we're going to be growing 1 or 2 of these in the front yard on the arch trellis at the top of the tier garden next year. So right here next to the wood pile, this was all overgrown. We got a lot of it cut out. The wood pile, hopefully some of it will be disappearing. I told my neighbor to grab as much as he wanted, and I meant it. This was the snake field that we had last time. It is completely cleared out, and I didn't see any snakes or turtles in there at all. So apparently they have moved on, but we'll keep this thing cut because I have a feeling if we can get rid of the wood pile, I might grow pumpkins either here or back where the watermelon are next year. So we'll have to figure out which direction we want to go with that. In the corner, we have our second crop of corn, and it has not done well. It was old seeds. I don't think they were stored very well. There are a couple of kernels in here. In fact, couple of ears in here. I wanted to pull this one out, and we will open that at the end, see what the inside looks like. The tassels are dried and shriveled, so this thing is ready to go. Same thing with this one. This is a smaller one. We're going to just pick these 2 ears and open them at the end. I will stick them in my shirt pocket so I remember. Looking up here, there's another lemon tree on the right here. Looks beautiful. It's going to be a good lemon tree. I have a feeling there's a pomegranate tree right here. I have a feeling it's going to end up choking out that pomegranate tree before it's over with, which means we'll have a dedicated space for another lemon tree, and we might have too many lemon trees when the time comes. Another pomegranate tree, a dead branch right here. We actually had pomegranates growing on it, but I don't think this one branch coming towards us is going to survive. The other 2 pomegranates are looking strong. Now these 4 pomegranate trees, I've never trimmed the suckers off the bottoms, and I will be doing that. All the trees that we trimmed the suckers off of for the past 3 years, that we have produced better pomegranates than the ones that we haven't tended to. So I am thoroughly convinced that's something that we should be doing. We have our original rosemary that came with our house. I don't know how old this plant is. It's huge. I trim at it. I take cuttings from it and make new rosemary from it all the time. It's just been a fantastic giver ever since we've been here. There's actually some more comfrey down in the bottom down there that, that's actually died back some and is starting to come back again. Comfrey, it's hard to kill comfrey. So, good stuff though. You can actually see these pots now, which is kind of cool. There's a couple of elephant ears in the back that are doing well. But we have this pot full of aloe, and it is looking good. We have another lemon tree right here that is doing well. Underneath there, we do need to figure out what stems we want to keep to make this into a tree in the future. The Dioiches bicolor grass makes a beautiful little flower in the spring and summer, and I need to get this out of this pot, break it up, and spread it around some. It's a very nice decorative grass, about 3 foot tall, beautiful. Back here we have some more spearmint, and then I'm kind of avoiding this. You'll probably see the other video about how this looks, but I discovered this last garden tour that this aloe here is actually blooming, and it's a red bloom. It's beautiful. It's one of my favorites. It is just amazing. I've only seen this once before, and it's just such a different color. I'm so thrilled to see this coming back again this year. So thrilled. Back in the back of this, we have several loquat trees. These are the exact same trees that I started my hedge with, folks. And they're small because they're still in those little cups. You take them out of the cups and you can grow a loquat tree yourself. If you live here locally, get in touch with me and I will let you have however many of these you want. I think there's like 8 left down there. A couple have fallen behind. They get watered regularly because there's an irrigation head right there. So they're good. They're good trees. They don't look like much right now, but they are good. So down here we have our mint, our original chocolate mint plant that is actually struggling because I let some weeds get in here. I need to get this under control before the day's over. So I want to show you real quick about our compost. At this point I like to talk about the composting, and folks, what I compost here, I compost all of our lawn cuttings, which in our yard we have big brown leaves year round. So there's a lot of brown leaves in there, a lot of green grass cuttings that go into this thing, and all our kitchen scraps. Now by kitchen scraps, I mean everything that is not cooked, no proteins, everything good for the compost bin. We put watermelons rinds in there, we put eggshells in there. I've been collecting eggshells for years, so it's well enriched with eggshells and eggshells that are breaking down. I've been doing that for 5 years now, so there are eggshells in this garden that are 5 years old, still breaking down. Banana peels, coffee grounds, all kinds of stuff. In fact, I still have, sorry Jim, I still have a couple more bags of coffee grounds that we're going to be mixing in. And what I will be doing is we're going to be emptying out this. I'm going to put down another one of these. This is that DeWitt fabric that I line it with. It does great for this. I experimented with it in this bin, and this is a standard 3-bin compost system. And basically, you've got an active bin, you've got a building bin, and you've got good compost. So active, you're kind of rotating through. Active will eventually get flipped into here, and I'll be honest, full disclosure, if I flip these twice, I'm lucky. I generally flip them once. So far, I've been flipping them once each year. This is going to get flipped into here, and as it flips over, you'll notice, look at this dark stuff down the bottom. And I mean, that's beautiful. That is gorgeous. That's gorgeous stuff. The worms and everything in there. Now we do have that irrigation head next to the loquat trees I just showed you, just right over here. It's not very far, so it does get a little bit of water every other day. Not much. It doesn't even get a full gallon, folks. It just gets kind of the edge of the spray over here, and both of these bins do. But this will give you complete compost, and these are pallets, folks. You can find free pallets in America all over the place. I know here in Destin, our local Ace Hardware gives them away. They used to sell them. Last I saw, they're giving them away. And so this is going to be put over here, and you can see the top, I don't know, 2 feet of that, a little less, is newer stuff. Below that is just dark brown stuff that's beautiful for the garden. Now over here in this far left bin is actually all that seaweed that I collected in that video. I actually did a video. I'll see if I can find the link to it and put it in the description and the cards, wherever. But that seaweed is still breaking down. There's a lot of sand in it still, and we'll be incorporating that into this compost because seaweed is a fantastic nutrient source for the garden. So that's the compost. It's looking really good. I just can't get over how dark. Now that dark brown stuff, it's got sand in it. It's got composted organic material. It's got worm casting because there are a jillion worms down there. Folks, the number of worms down in there is just amazing. And they've moved up through, as they eat their way up, they move up through the pile, and where they've been and where they've been consuming things, they leave worm castings. Worm castings, of course, are phenomenal nutrient sources for your plants in the garden. So all this will be spread out in our gardens. So one of these years, I'll have 2 bins going at the same time. That's my goal. It hadn't happened yet. With my ADHD, we'll have to see if and when it does happen. Okay, so that is the compost update. You can really see exactly where it's at. I did just cut grass. I think there's probably about 6 inches of grass on top. One thing I want to tell you about, though, I hear talk about, oh, the rodents. You put your food scraps in there, the rodents are terrible. Now, over here, I have rats. 16 feet away in these beds, and I trap them. I have the little traps that I can trap them, and I kill them. Okay, sorry, I do. I have way too many rats. We live in the coast of Florida. If you have never lived here, you have never seen rats like here. It's crazy how many rats. I can't give you the score right now, but it's the score is high. What I do is I always use, in fact, I keep that yellow-handled pitchfork right there. I dig down about that far in the green and brown stuff. I dump my compost bin down there and I cover it over. Now, folks, I've actually put traps on my compost bin and around my compost bin. You know where I've never caught a single rat? Not a single rat have I ever caught in this compost. Never. I've caught a lot of rats over here. Never over here. Just saying. Just saying. Oh, don't tell me I got rats in my compost, because I don't. All right. That kind of brings us down to the end. The palm tree, no change. That magnolia tree is beautiful as ever. Still suckers off here I have to get. Other magnolia tree never gets suckers. I don't understand. Let's look at this corn real quick. This is the bigger, actually let's look at the smaller ear of corn first. This is the smaller ear of corn. I'm very curious to see if anything developed out of it. Oh, yeah. I probably should have let that go a little longer. There are actually, it got, oh, there, nope, okay. You can see there it is partially pollinated, and I can feel there's more down in there, but that's not great. Folks, it was old corn. It was kind of a long shot that would even grow anyway. This one here, oh, it's been eaten into by something. But it does have a little bit of good corn. We'll probably eat that, Mrs. Bowtie and I, here in the next day or two. Probably just stick that in water, boil it, and eat it right off the cob. That sounds like a winner. All right, so it'd be a little bit to go with our, I think we're doing yum yum chicken, some beans from the garden. Yeah, we finally got beans, folks. For those of you who follow the raised garden bed tours, we haven't had a single bean off the, not a single bean, folks. We finally got a bean. Got about, I don't know, half a pound of beans, enough for a meal for the two of us. And then, of course, if you haven't seen the video, I don't think you, when this comes out, I think the Luffa seed saving video comes out after this, maybe right after it, but get to see where this Luffa sponge has come from and what happens with those Luffa hanging all over that plant over there. That thing is probably the most exciting thing I've got growing in the garden right now. It is very cool, but Mrs. Bowtie has already tried this. It's beautifully soft on the outside. It's exfoliating. You can actually cut it up into sections like that and use it for dish sponges. These things are great. We're going to have at least a year's supply. I don't know how long they last. we'll have to see how long they last in various situations. So all the seeds were up in here. Watch that video. It's kind of cool because when I open it up, how I open it up, and when I open it up, what happens. So be sure to catch that. Oh, I see there's another seed in there. In fact, do you remember how I said part of it? Oh, it just fell. Uh-oh. I found it. I found it. I don't want a loofah growing over here. However, it is an undeveloped seed. I can feel there's nothing in it, so I'm not too worried about that. But remember I talked about those loofah, how sections are developed and sections are not. The seeds up in this part were just little flat paper thin things. There was nothing in them. The seeds in this section here, nice fat seeds, just beefy. And they will grow new loofah vines. Woo! Loofah. Loofah. The Luffa Expanse. Oh my goodness. Leaves me speechless. It's everything I was hoping for and so much more. Yeah, that just blew me away, watching that grow this summer. Anyway, be sure to subscribe because we have part 3 of these garden tours coming up in a few days, and we'll look at the raised beds. We have a few things changing. I believe the okra collecting seed video has already come out. You'll see where those came from, and I think I may have one more to cut down up there. I only see one ready. But we'll look at the other things growing. I did a lot of work over here in the raised beds as well. So back to the blackberries, the beans. You can take a look at the beans, our peppers, which are just still going crazy, and the tomatoes we are still waiting for. So be sure not to miss that episode of the garden tours. That's part 3 of 3, every single month, same order, same steps. So you can kind of, if you ever want to compare from month to month, you can go to the exact same place and kind of find where you're at and see the progression of things. Okay, folks, y'all have a blessed day.